The iPhone 18 Pro doesn't launch for at least another couple of weeks, but how do I already have one here in my hands? The dirty secret is that this is a black market iPhone, one that Apple really wants to make illegal that I shouldn't have, but I'm going to show you anyways. In fact, let me show you some of the wildest ways that new iPhones and Apple gear leaks early. In honor of the new iPhone and iPhone 18, let me break down like 18 of the wildest iPhone conspiracy theories, stories, things you haven't heard before that you are going to love. And also, huge thanks to our friends at Monarch for sponsoring this video. Okay, so I'm not even gonna bury the lead. This is super exciting. And what this is an almost like millimeter accurate representation of the iPhone. Though this one I think is an iPhone 17 Pro Max, and it looks spot on to what the real thing actually looks like. But this is totally fake. This is like a prototype manufacturing unit, otherwise commonly known as a dummy model. And this seems to happen every year like clockwork in the summer, where people like myself seem to get their hands on these and show them off. And basically, it gives us our best look yet at what the new phones are coming for the fall. And of course, this year is no exception. We've got dummy models for the 18 Pro, the Pro Max, and even the new folding iPhone Ultra. Everything here feels crazy accurate and legitimately feels like a real phone, but it's obviously not turning on. I can toss it. Nothing's going to happen. But there's a method and secret as to why those even exist. The truth actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it, and it's that they're primarily made for case manufacturers and accessory makers so they can lock in the dimensions of their cases so they're ready to go on day one when the phone actually launches. If you've ever wondered why there actually are now a growing number of different accessories and cases you can buy the moment your iPhone, comes to your doorstep, it's because many of the companies are buying these. Now, obviously, Apple does not like that one bit, and they would like to ban these and make them illegal. But when the iPhone operation is so large, it's hard to keep things like that shut down. And when you have schematics leaking and information and all this stuff getting out, it can be really hard to contain the leaks. But Apple, they try their best. Not only is there actually an internal Apple police force who is dedicated to stopping leaks, that is a legitimate thing, and they've even gone as far as to make fake phones and fake boxes that are solely for the purpose of throwing off the leakers and the journalists from the real thing. These are actually, as far as we know, legitimate phones that are only made to stop leaks. Apple never intended to make them, they're just there to throw us off their trail. Because when the surprise is contained and things don't leak, it can actually be a very exciting experience. It's really cool when Apple can surprise us all and show us something we've never seen before. Genuinely can be one of the best parts of an Apple event, but when Apple shows something off and promises something that doesn't actually happen, that can be a real big problem. Think the most famous example of this that still haunts Apple to this day was that little moment from the 2017 iPhone reveal that showed off this amazing wireless charger that you could drop your iPhone, Apple Watch, and AirPods onto, and it would charge, and you could drop them anywhere. And after trying and failing to get this thing working over and over again for the years, they quietly just ended up canceling the project. Now, obviously, stuff like this happens. Apple isn't perfect, despite their best efforts, but they would like you to think they're perfect, and they want to have everything as controlled as possible. In fact, a lot of the moments you see in those live events were live, but not actually legitimate or telling the whole story. One of the best examples of this is the original iPhone keynote back in January of 2007. That famous presentation from Steve Jobs showed off the iPhone, and it wasn't really what you were led to believe it was. The iPhone at that point was not done. It was very much still hacked together and barely working. And while the demo was live and Steve was interacting with the phone, we'd learn later on that Steve had to follow what Apple engineers called the golden path. Basically, that phone was like held together so fragilely, he had to open certain apps in a certain order and wait a certain amount of time to do certain things, basically follow a very precise path to make sure nothing would go wrong and the phone wouldn't crash. Obviously, that didn't happen. iPhone goes on to be a big success, and we're nearing the 20th anniversary of that launch, and iOS 27 coming in just a couple of weeks. Now, I should say that as great as iOS 27 is, and as nice as it is to see those improvements, not everything is perfect. There is still a lot kind of lacking in kind of the consolidation department of transactions, even if you have the fancy schmancy metal Apple card, which is why personally I love and use this video sponsor Monarch, as it breaks everything down into one streamlined interface in one app, one dashboard. And as you can obviously see, the app itself is downright beautiful, but what I love about Monarch and appreciate is it's both the beauty and the brains. Accessible on mobile, on desktop, wherever you are, but also there's a lot of smarts happening behind the scenes as well, automatically bringing in all your accounts, all your transactions, categorizing things for you. Instead of 5 billion notifications, different Excel spreadsheets and things like that, you've got everything you need in one place and in one app, calmly and easily showing you exactly what you need to know. Also, in addition to that, a built-in kind of AI smart financial guru that is here to help you along with your journey and answer any questions you've got in simple layman's terms, no finance degree required. So if you guys want to learn more and jump in for yourself today, you can get started with a totally free trial just by clicking the link right down below, or you can scan the QR code right on screen. And when you sign up, go through our special link and use the code TAC50, and that'll give you 50% off your first year of total money clarity. So simple, so easy. Jump in and try Monarch for yourself today. Again, just by clicking the link right down below or scanning that QR code right on screen, and use our code TAC50 for extra special savings. Of course, the original iPhone would go on to be very successful and pave the way to do a lot of things. And I feel like a lot of you guys might not remember, or maybe weren't even alive, to see just how crazy that original iPhone and the early days were. Fun fact, that original iPhone only worked on one carrier, which many still can't believe that the iPhone for many years was only on one or maybe two carriers. It wasn't as ubiquitous as it is today. And then there were also like very weird accessories, like there was a dock for the iPhone. Apple even sold their own first-party Bluetooth headphone. It was just a very, very different time, which also included some fun times and a whole new enemy for Apple in the form of something called jailbreaking. The same goes for the whole Apple Maps issue as well. If you might have forgotten, in the early days of the iPhone, Google Maps was actually the default. And then after a couple of years, Apple decided to get rid of it and do their own thing for some odd reason. They probably regret that. They made Apple Maps, and when the very first version launched, it was so bad that it led to Tim Cook issuing an open apology to customers. It was just the butt of the joke everywhere. Everybody hated it, and it led to the firing of Scott Forstall, the guy that was kind of known for the early iPhone software. He got the boot, story goes, because he refused to apologize, so Tim fired him, and then Johnny Ive took over Apple software from there, which led to its own controversies with iOS 7. It's funny because I feel like these days we can look back and iOS 7 maybe isn't as bad as we remember, but in those days, the jump from iOS 6 to iOS 7 was abrupt, to say the least, and really was all Johnny Ive all over the place. Very flat, very different, very anti-skeuomorphic, and also has some interesting callbacks to a guy named Dieter Rams, who very much inspired many of the Apple designs that we have in their products, and also literally was the inspiration for some of the things we see in Apple software. Obviously, Apple is under much more control these days. Everything seems to be going pretty smoothly. We've got a new CEO, new iPhones coming, and everything seems exciting. And yeah, there's been some wild moments for the iPhone over the years and lots of cool stuff coming. Curious to know your thoughts on this, guys. What do you think? Did you guys know all those little things about the iPhone and its wild history? Drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Robert Rosenfeld, and I'll see you guys in the next one.